Australia's submarine disaster. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my evening stein of coffee and I thought we'd have a look at this article from the ABC talking about the submarine debacle that Australia's engaged in. $50 billion. So the Department of Defence considered walking away from the $50 billion French submarine deal. And now to put that figure just into context from an economic perspective, because these numbers get so big, it seems insane. Our entire tourism industry GDP, which is 3.1% of the national GDP, is $60 billion. So just 1 year of tourists coming here to Australia is equal to a little bit more to the submarines that we're ordering. So this is a huge investment, So let's have a look. The Australian government is purchasing 12 new submarines to replace our existing fleet. Defence secretly considered walking away from the $50 billion French submarine deal during protracted and at times bitter contract negotiations and started drawing up contingency plans for the new fleet. Well, you would expect that from the military. The military is all about contingency plans. I mean, I'd be shocked if there should have been an investigation if they hadn't have had contingency plans in place. The revelations are contained in a new report by the Auditor General that also confirmed the program is running 9 months late and that Defence is unable to show whether the $369 million spent so far have been fully effective. So they've spent, nearly $400 million, nearly $500 million, or 40% of $1 billion, and they can't argue that it's been fully effective. 9 months late, guys. I can't say I'm too surprised on complicated projects like this. According to the report, the federal government's hand-picked advisory group told Defence in 2018 to consider alternatives to the current plan, when negotiations over a key contract appeared to be breaking down. The Commonwealth and Naval Group chose to build Australia's future submarines, were at loggerheads over the strategic partnering agreement, which would provide a framework for the complex and costly project. Behind the scenes, the Naval Shipbuilding Advisory Board told Defence to start drawing up alternatives should the negotiations fail. According to the auditors, Defence began examining whether it could extend the life of the existing Collins-class submarines, and the time this would take would allow them to develop a new acquisition strategy for future submarines if necessary. So let's just jump over here and have a look. We'll go to Wiki, and I brought up the Collins-class subs so we can just learn a few things. So we've got a single class, they're diesel-electric, 6 Collins-class boats, and they entered service in 1993. So what's that, 10, 20 years, 30 years nearly 30 years old, these boats. So they're getting old, guys. They were designed by the Swedish submarine builder Kockums as Type 471 specifically to meet Australian requirements, many of which were derived from Australia's need for greater range without utilising a nuclear propulsion system. And that's an interesting consideration, because a lot of people are saying, well, why haven't we gone nuclear? Why haven't we gone nuclear? And don't get me wrong, I'm an advocate for nuclear energy. But when we can't, it's going to be very difficult for our naval forces to maintain a nuclear fleet, to decommission a nuclear fleet, if we don't even have a civilian nuclear industry. They're going to have to build everything from the ground up. I mean, look at the UK. Their books have fallen down. They've got a nuclear industry, civilian nuclear industry established, and they've got boats just lining up waiting to be decommissioned, because you can't run them forever. So the ships themselves were built in Australia by the Australian Submarine Corporation in Adelaide, South Australia. The submarines are classified by the RAN as guided missile submarines, but are often referred to as hunter-killer submarines in the international press. While these vehicles represent a major increase in capability for the RAN, they have found themselves mired in numerous technical and operational problems. Meanwhile, the Royal Australian Navy has struggled to sufficiently crew their submarine fleet, with at times no more than 2 qualified crews available. The 12-boat-strong future submarine program, and this is what we're looking at, was initiated to replace the existing 6-column-class boats. The short-fin Barracuda, the conventional-powered variant of the French Barracuda-class submarine, proposed by the French shipbuilders DCNS, was chosen by the Australian government as the design for the new boats. So, is a nuclear-class submarine designed by the French shipbuilder? So that's interesting. Construction began in 2007. So let's have a look at some of the figures here. A complement of 58. 77 meters long. Submerged speed, 21 knots. Surface speed, 10.5 knots. Range. Look at this range. Nautical miles, 11,000. So 20,000 kilometer range. Submerged range, 890. You can tell I've been playing so much World of Warships with all the World War II class submarines, so it's interesting to see. I mean, we can have a look there at just the submarines. Oh, the different names. Collins all the way to Rankin. Commissioned in 2003. So Collins is the oldest one, and we've been building for a while. So there you go. That's what we have at the moment. And I think the range is one of the biggest issues that we need to deal with. And that's probably why they're modifying these subs and why it adds a level of complexity to the project and to the acquisition. So concerns were so great that the board asked Defence to consider whether program risks outweighed the benefit of proceeding and questioned whether it was still in the national interest to go ahead with the project. The strategic partnering agreement was eventually signed with much fanfare in early 2019. And notably, it gives future governments the ability to walk away from the project if it's delayed or fails to deliver what is promised. Already 2 key milestones have been missed, and work on the design phase is 9 months behind schedule. In the report, Defence expressed a deepening concern over a number of matters, which in its view were a risk to the future submarine program. I mean, here we go. What do you think? Do you think they will buy some fleets, some submarines as a stopgap measure? Perhaps off the shelf? Opposition Defence spokesman Richard Marlies said the report was deeply concerning. On all 3 measures of this program, on time of delivery, on the cost of the project, on the amount of Australian content, the numbers are all going the wrong way, he told the ABC. Crossbencher Senator Rex Patrick, who is a former submariner, said Defence needs a fallback plan if the project continues to face delays. The alarm bells are ringing, Senator Patrick said. If the minister is not hearing them, they need to be turned up. Defence's view that they can recover the schedule is naive at best. Despite the persistent problems, Defence maintains construction of the submarines is still on track to begin in Adelaide in 2023. Minister for Defence Linda Reynolds said the program was complex. I welcome the important Australian National Audit Office findings that the federal government has established a fit-for-purpose strategic partnering agreement with the Naval Group and that there are appropriate risk management strategies in place to deliver the future submarine program, Senator Reynolds said in a statement. The first attack class submarine is scheduled for delivery to the Royal Australian Navy in 2032. The ANAO report confirmed that there had been no change to this delivery timeframe or budget. Okay, we're talking 10 years, 9 months. There'd be some, the Frenchies would have some padding in there. I mean, come on. The program is highly complex and requires a long-term focus. Whilst the future submarine program is still in the early design phases and there have been some delays, it is essential to get the right design. Well, I mean, here's a question. Why are we putting all our eggs in one basket? I know exactly why. You want to buy them all from one, you want to have one class of ship because it makes operation easier, hopefully. You can transfer crew from one boat to the other. A trained submarine, they need to know a little, I think, of the entire ship. They need to understand everything. It's a difficult process. All I know about it is watching Mighty Jingles explain, and other submariners on YouTube explain their experience there. So what do you think? Do you think we should be custom building something? Or do you think we should be spending 40 million, getting a couple less, and buying some other subs just off the shelf to try and make sure there isn't a gap in our submarine capabilities to defend our nation? particularly with the technological advancements and the expansion of China in the South China Sea. Let me know what you think, guys. Please like, share, and comment down below. And I will see you all next time. Bye for now.